You have the metabolism of a cheetah. It's not my fault.
I do. This is what genetic perfection looks like if you're Kenyan.
And I'm done. And I quit. I'm retired. Sunday drive.
Roquan Smith. Isn't it so funny that every year there's this generational inside linebacker talent? Every year. Last year was Reuben Foster. Remember? Reuben Foster is a freak athlete. Unbelievable. He is a freak athlete.
He's a monster.
Inside linebackers are often devalued in the first round. Same thing with centers. Often centers are devalued in the first round.
As valuable as they are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's because they last so long. Like, you get a center, like, look at Eric Wood, he was here forever, right? You find your guy, and normally there's a center drafted in the first round. Normally there's one.
It's like a nice suit.
Yeah, it's just...
You're like, I could keep this for 15 years if I watch my weight.
Yeah.
Which... Anyway. I'm a fan of Roquan Smith. Any linebacker, because you know how incredibly fast the SEC is. If there's anything at the SEC, if you have a question here and there about the SEC, whether or not it's the best conference or not, you can't deny the fact that it's the fastest conference.
Yeah.
Especially at the skill position. So this guy played sideline to sideline. I don't know about a lot of the guys in front of him, where they're going to go.
Right.
It's like one of those things where, this guy's a great middle linebacker, but like both the ends and the D tackle were drafted before him. How great was he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know that. We don't know that yet. So the thing about him is going through the numbers, going through his tapes, going through, the reports and everything that I was able to look at. You know what he screams to me?
I don't know.
Jonathan Vilma.
Okay.
Height, weight, play style.
Yeah, they
cerebral.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes
because they're both
sense.
Undersized guys that had to get by on their wits. Vilma from the U. You love the U, not receiver U, but linebacker U. He screams Jonathan Vilma to me, and I'm like, is that good enough for 22? For me, yeah.
Well,
but is he Vilma? No, because although he's faster than what Vilma was, you got to think Vilma was drafted in 04. The game is
it's
so
a
much
very different game.
now.
It is a very different game.
So you don't know how those things translate.
It's interesting because the Bills are at 12, right?
Uh-huh.
A team that's going to really decide what their fate is going to be is Washington at 13. Because Washington has a lot of the exact same needs the Bills do. They need cornerback help. Well, I mean, the Bills don't really need cornerback help, but they're bringing in a lot of cornerbacks on pre-draft visits. So you have to assume that they feel they need some depth at cornerback. They definitely need a nose tackle. They're in a 3-4, so different scheme. But ultimately, they're in play for an interior defensive lineman, right? And they need a middle linebacker, an inside linebacker, really bad. Washington did the same thing Buffalo did. They just basically re-signed everybody that they had, right? Since Buffalo and Washington are at 12 and 13, they both have the same needs. Some choices may get made for them, right? For the Bills. If Washington looks at it and says, we got to get to 11, we just got to get to 11. We got to get in front of Buffalo. Buffalo is going to take insert name a defensive lineman, right? That's why, Daron Payne is a perfect fit for Washington at 13, right? He's big enough to play nose, strong enough to play nose. He can take on nose, he can take on double teams, right? Yeah. So if Washington likes him enough, they might get in front of Buffalo, and that screws things up. So,
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Quickly? The thing about Washington and Miami, though, that's very interesting. It'd be similar to the Bills trading for one. If you're on the train that the Buffalo Bills need a quarterback, everyone knows Cleveland does.
Yeah.
you can't trade with somebody that has the same need as you. Miami just got rid of Sue. They need a D tackle as well. So it's hard for the Redskins to sell that, saying, "Hey, the Bills can't trade them because of divisional rivals." But Washington saying, "Hey, we're going up there." Well, you can't tell them who you're taking, obviously, but they're like, they're trading up because they're going to get Villa or another defensive tackle. But we want him. We want him on our team.
Well, so let's have the conversation about that. So if you're Washington, you call Miami and you say, "Listen, Daron Payne's our guy." Miami goes, "Perfect," because they want Vita Vea.
Okay.
Right? If Daron Payne goes, would Vita Vea go to the Bills? Would the Bills take second best DT, or would they look to trade down at that point? Because if Daron Payne was their guy, and there's a gap between Payne and Vita Vea, what do they do? They're gonna go someplace else, right? So Miami could look at it and say, "Well, Vita Vea's our guy, Daron Payne's your guy. All right, yeah. We'll drop down to 13. We'll still be able to get our guy because as soon as Daron Payne goes off the board, Buffalo will look someplace else."
You got to have 3 guys to make that deal if you're Miami. You got to have 3 guys you're comfortable with taking.
Sure.
Because
you have to have a contingency plan in case both DTs go.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So,
sure.
So we got a corner, a middle linebacker, and a defensive tackle. If we want our defensive tackle, but if we trade back and Buffalo ends up taking him before us, then we got these other 2 guys. Okay, we'd be comfortable doing that. That's
right. Well, and here's how this all plays to Roquan Smith, right?
Okay.
Because Roquan Smith has outstanding instincts. Really watches the plays break down. Does a great job of feeling his way through the line. The problem with him is that he, in a 3-4 system, might get eaten up, right? Because he is a little bit undersized.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of tailor-made for a 4-3 because you want him to be able to run all over the field. And he is a very smart kid when it comes to football. Sees things on the field. Great. He is the type of guy that you want in the middle of your defense, even though he's undersized.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you have Star Lotulelei, Kyle Williams in front of you. You got the ability to give him time, right? But I want to compare Roquan Smith and Tremaine Edmunds. Because everybody's talking about Tremaine Edmunds. He's not an inside linebacker, but he is a linebacker. The Bills are in the linebacker game. It doesn't really matter what position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are talking about Tremaine Edmunds about like he's the next great outside linebacker. And this kid scares the hell out of me because they're 2 very different players, right?
Very.
Edwards is all about speed and power. He's not patient.
No.
Right? And Roquan Smith is everything and patient, right? They do play different positions, but Edmunds is the same thing that Vita Vea does. He's dependent on his athletic ability only to be the player that he is. And at the NFL level, that just doesn't flow, right? So, let's, for argument's sake, say the Bills are sitting at 12.
Both of them are there.
And both of them are there. Both DTs are gone, right? So Vita Vea and Daron Payne are gone. So now you've got your choice of cornerback number 3 off the board, right? Let's say another linebacker is gone. Let's just throw okay. Quarterbacks are off the table, right? The best wide receiver on the board is still there, right? And you've got your choice of linebackers. If you're the Buffalo Bills, what are you doing? What are you pulling the trigger on? Are you taking the kid with a lot of talent, but with no understanding of technique or scheme? Or are you taking the guy who is, in this draft, the professor of that? Or do you go someplace else at 12?
My personal standpoint, or what I think the Bills will do, because you got a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, I'll take either.
Probably the receiver goes out the window, especially with the amount of receivers from small schools that they've already scouted.
Yeah, okay.
So you're probably taking a wide receiver off the table.
Okay.
Unless Dable wants him. But listen, comfort in this system is paramount.
Yeah.
We got McCarron. We brought in a center that worked with McCarron to help with the communication. I need Ridley. Ridley can really relay this to all the guys. He'll be like a seasoned vet in it because he's played in it. So that being that. But are you talking about the linebackers? and defensive tackles. The thing that gets me about the linebackers is that, as far as Smith goes, a lot of the reports that I read, he needs guys that can eat up blockers in front of him. And to me, that's not first round. He may be a first round talent, first round mind, but when you need a lot of moving parts around you working for you to do your job, that kind of scares me just a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, that's the one thing. Edmunds, depending on how much they think they can coach him up, because potential always wins.
Yeah.
Potential always wins. He is a monster. He's like 6'5",
Yeah, he's
245 pounds. He is
runs like a deer.
He could be a dynamite, just animal in a 3-4 inside linebacker role or outside linebacker role. It doesn't matter.
And correct me if I'm wrong here. Same things were said about Bruce Irvin. That all he does is just run really fast and get around the edge. And Tremaine Edwards could be a really solid fit if you need a pass rushing outside linebacker.
And you're willing to part with the current one that you have.
Right.
Hashtag Jerry Hughes. But the thing about that is it depends what direction they want to go. If they draft Edmunds at 12, don't expect Hughes to be there very much longer. But then,
I mean, Edmunds would be. I mean, he'd be.
I wouldn't be mad if they drafted Smith. I would, but like I said, I always hold some trepidation about certain players in that role. I would go with the cornerbacks first. Corner.
What happens with inside linebackers is you get guys that are pigeonholed to, he'll be fine in a 3-4, he'll be fine in a 4-3. He's, a pass rushing he's great in pass coverage, or, he's a great run stopper, right? You fit into one of those 4 boxes. Mm-hmm. And Roquan Smith has to be in a 4-3 system.
Yeah.
Right? So that eliminates half the teams in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Half the teams are off the board. So that takes him from a first-round talent to a top of the second-round talent. But can the Bills take a chance that he's going to be there? You're at 22. I mean, you're going to go down to 27 again? At that point, what's the difference?
The teams between 12 and 22 either need offensive line or defensive help. The teams that the Bills skipped are teams that need defense.
Right.
So you can't count on him being there at 22 unless you trade a second and a third to move up like 15.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do that.
Nobody wants them to do that. Plus, what you're doing is you got 5th-year options that are going to happen at the same time. What if these guys are a success? Obviously, that's something that's down the line.
Yeah, but look at the market for middle linebackers. Look at how much they're getting paid. It's fine. Look at what Preston Brown, look at the money he got. Look at the money Minter got. Look at the money that these inside linebackers got. You're not afraid of that. So you don't need the 5th-year option on an inside linebacker like you do a DT, a wide receiver, a quarterback.
Preston Brown, who was successful in both a 3-4 and a 4-3 and only got $6 million.
I really thought he was going to get paid, man. Just all the signs were there that he was going to make a lot of money.
He really should have. I don't know. That just baffles me.
So peculiar.
But yeah, my to answer your question, I would still have to lean, even though I have some trepidation, I would lean towards Smith because he just seems like the guy who, if McDermott is going to start a rookie middle linebacker in his defense, it's not like he's going to be alone.
Yeah.
You got Williams, you got Starr, you got Hyde, you got Poyer, you got White, you got a lot of guys. You got a veteran in Davis.
It is right now the way that they're set up with the veteran help at the back end, the veteran Pro Bowl help at the back end, the veteran Pro Bowl presence on the line. You could start an inside rookie or an inside middle linebacker. You can, because there's no other rookies. There's no other rookies on that defense.
We're getting hate mail.
No, we're not getting hate mail. But Roquan Smith at 12 I would not love, because again, you have.
But
to
I would understand.
I would get it. But the issue with drafting an inside linebacker at 12 is the fact that he better be Luke Kuechly. Otherwise, you overdrafted him at 12.
Yeah.
You way overdrafted him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that getting to 12 was about getting an inside linebacker. I really think
I
getting
don't
to
think
12
it was
is just a chip to try and get the QB. But if that falls through, and if it doesn't fall through and the Bills draft a quarterback, what the hell are they going to do about that middle linebacker spot?